Hey everybody, it's Gabriel over at Home Instead for another installment of Health and Aging. Today I am greeted. I've had the opportunity to be with my friend Ligia Houben, long time, and Ligia is a grief specialist and life transition consultant and coach. That is a lot to unpack. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Ligia, and thank you for being on the program.
Thank you. It is so beautiful to reconnect with you, to be in this program. It's awesome what you are doing because actually, aging is one of those transitions which is very close to my heart. And as you said, I have specialized in grief, how to handle with losses, different types of losses that we encounter in life and how to transform our grieving process, no? And the other transition that I have also dedicated, a long time, it's aging. I did a program at FIU back then, like 20 years ago, on aging, and I worked there also. And this population is very, very close to my heart. My beloved mother died last year, 2 months short of 101.
Unbelievable.
Yes, so as you can imagine, no, my heart is in this with this population because of those two things, no? I studied this and I lived it.
And you
So
lived
it's
it.
putting both things together, yeah.
So we know that growing older, forces change in all aspects. And I know that when it comes to being in tune with this, you know about those changes, the physical changes, the emotional changes, the social changes, the spiritual changes. Where do we begin?
Where do we begin? Yes, and thank you for your words. I remember that when people would ask, Ligia, and what's your field? What do you do? I said, well, I am the field of aging and dying because are those things that are going to happen to us. If
Right.
God gives us enough life, we're going to age, right? Like we're going to be older adults because we are aging the moment we are born. However, if God gives us life, then we're going to be old, but we're going to die. Every single person is going to die. So if we don't tap into these special issues that happen to all of us and to our loved ones and to the world, in general, the population, then how are we going to deal with this in a meaningful way? It's about education, I believe. You know what, Gabriel? It's about having the conversation because it's
Right.
that topic that it's like, the elephant in the room that people would like to talk about it. However, they want to stay away from it.
Now, when you come across someone who's aging, or when you come across children who are taking care of their mom and dad who are aging, and it becomes a little stickier because life, life. This is their first time encountering this. This is a shock. This is a life event. How do we segue into that? How do we educate children? How do we help those that are find themselves recovering from an ailment? Where do you begin?
So when we talk about adult children taking care of aging parents, where do we start? First, I would say to accept the situation, what is going on, because it can be very sensitive for us, for children, to see the changes that our parents are going through. Sometimes we even grieve over that because the mother, the image of our mother or of our father is no longer there because there are changes. There are
Right.
physical changes, they may be cognitive changes, they may be changes, social activities, the way they are. So sometimes adult children have resist that and they want to impose on their parents the way they should be. And that's
Right.
something that we want to understand with our heart. It is not about us. It's about them. So
Right.
it's to enter their worldview and have a conversation with them. Not to tell them, Mama, Mom, you should do this. You should do that. It's not about you should do. It's about having a conversation with the heart. So I believe that is the first step. And as I said to you, based on my personal experience with my mother and with older adults that I worked before. Because some years ago, on the adult daycare center in Española Way, I did a group with women there every week. We did it in English and then in Spanish, and all the things that we would talk. And that's one of the things that they would tell me, that they wanted to be heard. They have a voice, and sometimes we suppress that voice. And sometimes the family does that. Not with intention, not to hurt, no, but because of their own discomfort or grief or frustration, they do it. So
Right.
that would be the first thing I would say, to accept what's going on, to process it on your own, the effect that it has on you, and to have that conversation with your father or mother.
On the other side of that spectrum, I sometimes find adult children not knowing how to address that because mom or dad have been in charge making decisions for so long, and now the decisions that they're making are not in their best interest. What can you tell me, how do I approach a son or a daughter who is just saying, oh, well, that's my dad, he'll come around, or that's my mom, she'll come around, she's just stubborn. So where do we find that delicate balance as children to still be respectful, but at the same time, almost like, look, mom, you can't do this anymore because of these reasons, and then find an alternative?
That's one of the greatest challenges that we may have as adult children, because the thing is this, that we become their caretakers. We do not become their parents. They are our parents.
Well said.
We are their caretakers. And the beauty is how to address. And it's a lot of strategies and always coming from the heart. Gabriel, do you like to be told what to do?
No.
Nobody. The moment we may say, you have to do this, people may resist. And maybe in the back of their minds, they were thinking even to do that. And you said you have to, there's a change of opinion. So I would say that to present things to them in a way that they feel they are making a choice. To present to them the benefits of doing this and the consequences of doing that. So you put the balance, because it's just like with a child. When a child comes to you, and you have two beautiful children, they come, Papi, can I do this? No, you can't.
Right.
Why? No, you can't, period. That's, the child will not really get it. And, they may get, acting out, or they misbehave and all that. However, if you come, because this and this, you explain, you have a conversation with them, they get it. It's more understanding, because we always want to keep the communication bridges open. I believe so much in that. And we give them the space with a lot of love and respect, always respect.
With the respect that they deserve.
Yes, absolutely.
We all want to live to the end with dignity.
Yes, quality of life and dignity. So if you can visualize yourself in those situations, knowing about this and learning about aging and dying and getting in touch with the reality, make us think about our own realities, because I believe that's one of the resistance that people put, because they don't want to see their own realities. So that's why, Gabriel, people sometimes, they don't want to go to nursing homes because they don't want to see older people. Well, because it's a mirror. If you're going to be old, that's going to be your mirror. Or people don't want to go to funerals. So, those things that we resist the most, maybe it's the things that it would be a good idea to start confronting, right?
I could not agree with you more. And it took me a long time to figure that out, that when you look at the dates on a tombstone, born on this day, died on this day, what is the most important part of that date? The most important part is the little dash in between, which signifies your life.
Claro.
What are you grateful for? What is that is propelling you forward? To be able to have those difficult conversations with your mom, with your dad, with your grandparents. A lot of times I'm in the living room with both of them, and dad is the primary caregiver for mom, or mom is the primary caregiver for dad. And they neglect their own feelings. They neglect their own health because their primary focus is to take care of their loved one till the very end. For children to come in there, and maybe they live in town, maybe they don't live in town. We do a lot of long distance caregiving. We now at Home Instead are going to start to implement tablets within the care continuum, so that we teach, grandma or grandpa how to be able to tune in and take a call and be able to see you like I'm seeing you
I love
right now.
it.
It's just introducing another level of care to continue that type of engagement, to continue the socialization that we're looking for, to keep those relationships tied together, because it's what we're grateful for. That care continuum between the son and the daughter is very important, that we kind of get ahead with them and have those conversations with them. So like you said, be able to offer choices for our loved one so that they can feel like they're making their own decisions. And
That's
sometimes
it.
we have to bring in a third party so
Mhm.
that we're not the bad guy.
Absolutely. You reminded me, amazing, of doing a seminar, Transforming Grief and Loss to Mental Health Professionals. And when we would talk about losses that older adults may experience, one of them, and which is a big one, of course, is the loss of autonomy, of independence. And how is that symbolized? When they have to let go of the driver's license, of the key of their cars,
Yeah,
when they have to let go, because that symbolizes to them, I'm going to be depending on someone else.
right,
And keeping in mind that we live in a society which is very, we are independent, individualistic, and that again, it is how we come and present it to our parents.
right,
Instead of that, give me the keys, you cannot be driving, you are a danger in the streets. It may be, what is going on. However, it's how we present it. It's the
right,
tone we use when we talk to them. Because when we're talking about the different dimensions, and you mentioned the physical, the social, the emotional, and the spiritual. With the physical, of course, you come in with a service you bring, and I feel that's so needed. Then, what about the emotional aspect? Because everything is tied up. We cannot separate the different dimensions, no? Because they all come together, and that's what makes us human, to have
right,
all those in balance. So, when you talk about the emotional, how they feel, and to allow them to talk, because sometimes, for example, Gabriel, maybe the mother, she's 95 and she sees herself getting more frail and all this, and she may be scared of dying. Many of them are. And if she says, to her daughter, I'm so scared of dying, the daughter, she doesn't want to hear that. It breaks her heart. So instead of, okay, mommy, mom, tell me, what of dying makes you scared? Tell me about it. Talk to me. Instead of, "Ay, mom, don't say that. You're doing fine. Don't say that." I say this because I hear it here. So what
it's
happens
very
is,
real.
it is very real. The daughter doesn't want to go there, or she thinks it will be worse if they talk about it. And the older adult wants to talk about their feelings, but they are not allowed to talk about them. So what happens? They stuff in their emotions. So it's important if we can, allow them to express how they feel. Now, when we tap into the social, it's incredible because you may have read this, Gabriel, with what has happened with the pandemic, that people could not come to visit them, how depressed they got. The social aspect is so important. Now, what you are doing with the tablet now, that is so beautiful because it's keeping the connection, keeping the
And
connection.
that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. And then when we tap into the other dimension, which for me it's so huge, the spiritual dimension, because we're not talking about religious. Like if the person is religious, it's extremely important. When we talk about spirituality is when we talk about those elements that we were saying before about being able to say thanks, to be grateful. That's spiritual. To be able to forgive, that's spiritual. And to
Amen.
ask for forgiveness. If we come to realize, Gabriel, we are all humans.
Right.
We make mistakes. The beauty is to recognize that and to open the heart and to ask for forgiveness. And if, the adult child, to ask for forgiveness to the parent, the mother, the father, in case they hurt them in the past. And to give the space if the parent wants to ask for forgiveness as well. So when we have these things into our conversation with them, and the greatest that has to do so much with spirituality is the ability of finding meaning in life. So all these things come together and we can provide to them the best of care, always coming, with an open heart and understanding that you want to tap into their worldview. Their worldview may be different, many times is, than yours. And what we want is to understand that it is not about us, it's about them. Providing the best of the cares and not forgetting about us as well. And it is important because remember, there's this thing that we call compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue, you may get burnt out, and if you get burnt out, then you become irritable, and if you are irritable, you start snapping,
That's right.
and you are not really caring, in the best way. So that's why it's good to take some me time to recharge, to rest, to ask for help, is to see how you can do this together. To find out about services like the ones that you offer and other types of services. I
And one
believe
of the things that I've always been able to see is actually see the transition of that burnout. Once we get started, one of the most beautiful transitions is that 3 months later, now all of a sudden it's a different person. They've reclaimed their role of spouse, or they've reclaimed their role of son and daughter. They're no longer primary caregiver, and that relationship now is has become healthier because there's a caregiver in the middle who's doing the stuff that you don't want to do. Maybe you don't want to, have to take so much time off of work because you have to take your mom or dad to the hospital. Maybe you do want to, but you just can't. And all those things just pile on top of one another. Being able to reclaim and being able to kind of find your footing again as a son or a daughter or a spouse is very important to that relationship. Is very important to that socialization. Because the last thing you want is for your mom or your dad to feel like they're, or your spouse to feel like they're a burden.
that is something that we want to keep in mind as well. Not to send the message to them that they are a burden, because that's the last thing they want, to be a burden to others. So what we want to do, and this message for our amazing adult children who are taking care of their aging parents, because it's a privilege, it's a blessing, it's something, it's an honor, that always remember that while you have them here with you, to give yourself, to give the best you can in all aspects. Always remember also to take care of yourself. Remember that when they are no longer here physically, because they're always in our hearts, always remember that when you close your eyes and you think about them, you want to make sure that you don't have regrets. That you don't have regrets, and you gave them all the love and the best care that you could. That I said it from my heart. Yeah.
But yeah, I could talk to you all day. Um, where do our friends find you?
Yes, well, thank you, Gabriel. Me too. too. We could stay here talking forever. I am active in social media. I have an Instagram. It's Ligia_Houben. I have on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, I have a conversation, just like we did. A conversation about different topics with different, professionals, people of, bringing a beautiful message. And the first weeks, the first 3 weeks is in Spanish. The last Monday of the month is in English.
Okay.
Okay. And then on Facebook, I have a Facebook Live on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. in Spanish. And I have some Thursdays at 8 p.m. in English.
And
Yes,
so, and for those that are not internet savvy, you have an office right here in Miami.
I do. Yes, I have a center in South Miami, so they can send me an email, info@ligiahuben.com. You can
So what
visit my
I
webpage,
yeah,
ligiahuben.com, and there you can see all the information. Okay.
Ligia, thank you so much. What a pleasure. What an honor. Like I said, I could talk to you all day because there's so much to really pull apart in all of the facets of our discussion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Gabriel. It has been a beautiful experience. Thank you. This has been an honor to me. And I send my love to every single person who is watching us and to wish you, Gabriel, and them a beautiful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ligia.